All right. Good to go.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Respectfully, we acknowledge the land on which the township of Bonfield is located. We pay our respects to the Algonquin people who are the traditional custodians of this land, its natural resources, and the surrounding local watersheds of the Ottawa and Mattawa rivers. We acknowledge the Algonquins' long-lasting relationship with this territory, which remains unceded. We acknowledge the traditional knowledge keepers of this land, culture, and language. We also respectfully acknowledge the presence of all Indigenous peoples, past and present, as we commit to action, education, meaningful dialogue, and necessary change.
Nous tenons aussi à reconnaître le terrain sur lequel le canton de Bonfield est situé. Nous rendons hommage au peuple algonquin qui sont les gardiens traditionnels de cette terre, de ses ressources naturelles et des bassins versants locaux environnement de la rivière des Outaouais et de la rivière Mattawa. Nous reconnaissons la relation de longue date des Algonquins avec ce territoire qui demeure non cédé. Nous reconnaissons les gardiens du savoir traditionnel de cette terre, de cette culture et de cette langue. Nous reconnaissons également respectueusement la présence de tous les peuples autochtones passés et présents, alors que nous nous engageons à agir, à éduquer, à dialoguer de manière significative et à apporter les changements nécessaires.
Thank you, Andrew. Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Featherstone, that this meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that the agenda presented to council and dated the 24th day of September 2024 be adopted as prepared. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Next, we have the adoption of the previous minutes, moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor McGuinness, that the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 10th, 2024, and special council meeting of September 16th, 2024 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Any presentations in delegation?
None for this session.
Okay. Oh, we're going fast. Next, we have the report from our Public Works Manager with respect to the landfill compactor.
The Public Works Department has been in talks with a local construction company that is looking to sell a 1982 Cat 816B compactor. The Public Works Manager has attended the current landfill site that is housing the compactor with a mechanic present. The mechanic conducted a visual inspection of this equipment as well as a functionality test on the hydraulics, front blade, steering components, kingpin, bushings, and expected for play within the front end. The findings of the mechanic were that the equipment is fully operational with cosmetic deficiencies. Based upon the inspection, the front kingpins look to be tight with minimal play. The steering bushings have a small amount of play, which isn't abnormal for the year of the equipment. The hydraulics are functioning with no operational deficiencies when tested, and both rear planetaries were replaced last winter season. The deficiencies found from the inspection by the mechanic were as follows. The cab has some rust and holes in it due to its age. The brake system has a small inline leak, and there's some sweating occurring on the top side of the transmission. The mechanic stated that he would have to pull the panels to conduct a full inspection of this compactor. The Township of Bonfield is always looking for ways to progress forward within the Public Works Department. With the purchase of a landfill compactor, it would not only allow the township to extend the lifetime of the landfill with the spreading and compaction of residential waste, but also allow for a single piece of equipment, being the compactor, to be dedicated to keeping the landfill clean. With this equipment investment, it would not only reduce wear and tear on the public works backhoe and excavator, but reduce the rate of repair for tires from operating equipment at the landfill site. The compactor drives on two large rear metal drums with raised metal compression plates. Based upon the last assessment done in 2023 by Pynchon, the landfill site was approved for a total fill area of 12 hectares or 29.65 acres and has a lifespan of 54 years. We're currently waiting on the updated landfill capacity report for 2024. With the use of the compactor to spread and compact residential waste, the landfill capacity can be kept near to the projected 54 years. The available piece of equipment, being a CAT 816B compactor, has an operating weight of 45,800 pounds, a rear drum width of 3 foot 4 inches, and a 2-pass coverage width of 14 feet 9 inches. The 816B is the best suited for landfills of small to medium size, with a compaction capacity rate of 12 to 1,400 pounds per cubic yard. With the operator performing a spread of approximately 200 feet, making 3 to 5 passes for compacting over the waste, this would allow for the residential waste to be spread out and compacted, making a significant reduction in land needed to house waste, reduce the need for daily cover requirements, and a reduction in lethane and methane migration while extending the use of this equipment, while extending the landfill lifespan, reducing the amount of windblown litter and reduction in voids and settlements. With the use of this equipment, the existing pile of waste that is rapidly expanding can be pushed and compacted to allow for more waste capacity within a smaller land area. With each 200 pounds increase in density, 20% compaction increase would result in an additional 1.9 years of added landfill lifespan. With Bonfield growing in population, this would be a good practice to mitigate the extra waste accumulation. From July 2023 to July 2024, the landfill recorded a total of 35,670 bags of garbage dumped. This excludes trailer loads and free dump days. Another goal with this piece of equipment is to not only reduce the volume of land waste, that land waste occupies, but to also shorten the runway that residents use to dump their waste. With the shortened runway, residents can then dump over a ledge, with the waste being spread evenly and finally compacted with cover applied as needed. This would allow for the required waste volume to be reduced even more than already seen since the introduction and enforcement of the new recycling plan. As stated, a visual inspection was completed by a certified 310T mechanic and came back with minimal discrepancies. It is believed that a full service record history shall be obtained from the seller, including but not limited to maintenance work performed, equipment hours, and fluid change intervals. As council had authorized the manager to further investigate the equipment and negotiate the price on September 10th, 2024, the mechanic was consulted and further supported that the price and the compactor condition is a good investment for our landfill site. The township currently invests $18,000 a year into the landfill site reserves for closing costs. The compactor would prolong the life of the landfill site, so there's less than 2-year return on the investment. Quotes from other local companies have also been obtained for the compactor of the same size and same year. These quotes range from $200,000 and above. It is believed that the township of Bonfield can purchase this 1982 CAT 816B compactor for approximately a quarter of the asking price. So my recommendation is that council hereby authorizes the purchase of a 1982 CAT 816B compactor at a cost of $30,000 plus HST, and further the funds be authorized from the landfill reserves account to purchase this piece of equipment. Based upon the statistics provided, the benefits of owning and operating the compactor for the current landfill site are apparent. The township can not only use this piece of equipment to extend the lifespan of the landfill, but also make the landfill aesthetics and overall visual presentation a lot cleaner.
Okay, any questions?
It's not a question. I think just more of a statement. I think a couple of points to highlight. A good report, but I think 2 things. One, obviously extending the life of the landfill, hugely critical to the future of Bonfield. As we've stated a number of times around the table, trying to replace a landfill within a municipality is really unobtainable for a municipality our size. And even the business case on purchasing this piece of equipment with a less than 2-year return on investment. So really, from a taxpayer perspective, the fact that we're able to reduce what is needed in our landfill closure payments and to offset this, I think is it's a pretty no-brainer. It's going to be paid off in what we were already paying anyway. So that's what I.
Thank you. And Dan?
Yeah, and the other thing I want to touch on is every time we move the shovel to the landfill, the excavator to the landfill, it's a $500 float move. So I mean,
Right.
we're saving $8,000 a year in float moves now. So I mean, that adds to, you know, paying it off quicker.
Okay, so Steve?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about the landfill all the time, we looked at trying to purchase this same piece of equipment, and it was unaffordable at the time, right? You know, we tried looking at it all different ways to try and bring that in so that we would have it, and we couldn't figure out how to pay for it. So it's great that we have the option to do it now.
Okay, I have a comment to make on it, from a taxpayer that thought it was a very good idea to see that there. And one question that I was asked, if we thought that it would be better if it was under some kind of protection or something to.
For sure, yeah. So as I'm sure everyone's currently aware, it's currently at our landfill site. We've kind of been on a trial kind of plan with it in the meantime. There's a couple like housekeeping things we'd like to do, like add some new paint and that sort of thing, kind of bring it back up to par visually. But yeah, I don't disagree with, you know, maybe a shelter of some sort that we could put up. The public works staff could install it, and that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
We've got enough room, so.
Would prolong the use of it, I guess.
Yeah,
you could do.
I mean, I think like even some kind of a little pole barn or something
Yeah.
simple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like an extended carport.
Yeah,
essentially would be
yeah.
perfect.
Just something simple to park it, keep the sun off, keep the weather off, keep the birds off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the biggest part, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
That's great.
I'll read the motion then. Moved by Councillor McGinnis, second by Corbett, that council hereby authorizes the purchase of the 1982 CAT 816B compactor at a cost of $30,000 plus HST, and further the funds be authorized from the landfill reserve account to purchase this piece of equipment. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next we have the report from the CEO with respect to the deputy mayor position.
Okay, so at the inaugural council meeting for the term of council, there was a motion to appoint the deputy mayor until November of 2023. We are now into 2024, and this resolution has not been renewed. So the procedure bylaw does not set out the appointment for procedure for the deputy mayor, nor does it apply a time period on the appointment. So we go by that resolution. So council should identify the method of which a deputy mayor will be appointed, and the procedure bylaw can be amended to include that in it. So it's fair and consistent. So our options are that the mayor can appoint based on the highest number of votes for the council position. That person automatically becomes the deputy mayor. A vote amongst all council members to determine who the deputy mayor is, or each councillor can act for 1 year. With the order set out at the beginning of the term. So it's just automatically on these dates, it would just automatically change over. And then there's also the same for in the event of a full acclamation, but we do need somebody, we do need to appoint the deputy mayor position again, whether, you know, it's at council right now, because we don't have a set policy at council's will, whether you would like it to be till the end of the term for another year, if it needs to, if there's a new person, but we need to appoint that position to close that loop. And then certainly for council to discuss the method of appointing the deputy mayor so that we can put that into the procedure bylaw.
Okay, I might like to comment on that first. When we first came into our council, there was no deputy mayor at the time. So the first person that had the most number of votes, the way it was usually chosen, uh, chose to not be deputy mayor, which was Steve. And so next, Councillor Corbett, and he was quite agreeable to come along. And so at the time, then I thought maybe going from year to year and change it. And the council, they weren't really in favor of that, and they're giving Jason the job till the end of the term. I think. Isn't
Yeah,
that
I mean,
right?
I think Councillor Corbett's doing a great job as deputy mayor, so I'm not interested in it. So, I mean, you're doing a good job. Keep
You're
at it.
good with it.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Appreciate that.
Okay, so
And
let's,
then for the procedure bylaw, I'll bring a resolution back to just to confirm that in. But how would you like it to be appointed in the procedure bylaw? What method would you like? Or do you want more time? We have 2 years left. Do you want it to be based on the highest number of votes? If that person doesn't accept, if that counselor doesn't accept, then it can be the next person down, the next person, as the mayor just explained was the process for this term. Do you want to just put that into the procedure bylaw?
you're saying if the highest council member does not accept, then go to the next one
Yes.
and appoint in that manner? Yeah, I don't know. Are you good with that?
Could also do the highest vote, and if they don't want it, then a vote of the
Of the
of
council.
the council.
Kind of like what
Just-
we just did.
Just
to
trying to
be
make it
honest,
look like fair for, future terms, right?
Yeah, like we can do a hybrid of these, right?
Absolutely.
So I think,
It's your
I think customarily what has happened is the highest number of votes becomes the deputy mayor. And then, yeah, if that person doesn't. Yeah, I'm fine with a vote amongst council members. I mean,
But in
Yeah.
a new council,
yeah,
it's pretty hard to determine that, so
Hmm.
maybe that's not the way
Yeah.
the new council would want it, so maybe if you went to the next one in line, then could take the deputy mayor. And I think at one time when we had it, when the council was acclaimed, it did go, it was
Yes.
deputy mayor each term,
Mhm.
one council each term
Yes.
was the deputy mayor. So it's like, it doesn't make a difference to me,
I'm
but
fine.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
just keep going down.
Yeah.
go down with the numbers, okay. Oops, I better get that in here.
You're never gonna-
Okay, could I do this now? Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor McGinnis. Whereas the deputy mayor position was appointed for a period of November 22 to November 23. And whereas council has not renewed that appointment, that council determined the deputy mayor position in bylaw be presented to appoint at the next regular council meeting. All in favor? Carried. Report from CAO, housekeeping zoning bylaw.
So the Township of Bonneville began the official plan review in 2022. It's currently with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing since July of 2024. In this time, there have been several changes to the Planning Act. A new provincial policy statement was released, I think, the day we were doing interviews for the planning administrator position, which was just less than a month ago. And then there's been the Cutting Red Tape Act to Build More Homes Act and the More Homes Built Faster Act. So some of these new concepts and legislation have not been incorporated into the draft official plan provided to the ministry, and the statutory public meeting for the community to comment has not occurred as the timeline remains with the ministry. So the intent is to complete the comprehensive zoning bylaw once the official plan is adopted, and the timeline is realistically 12 to 18 months away. In the meantime, the township needs to continue to address the current trends and open policies to permit more housing development as per the provincial acts. So the planning and development staff have had meetings with residents who want to build smaller, more affordable dwellings for family members. They're seeking information and rules regarding shipping containers and hunt camps. and staff continue to experience contraventions in the rules for people living in non-dwelling buildings. Storage buildings are being built and used for purposes other than the intended and constructed purpose. And there needs to be more defined rules for accessory structures prior to a primary use. So residents want to do more with their property, and a housekeeping bylaw will allow for changes to occur now and not have to wait for those 2 years. So some of the frequent questions that the staff are dealing with are the additional dwelling units. So they are ancillary and subordinate to the main dwelling unit on the property. The township currently has policies for secondary dwelling units, which may expand, this could expand upon. A secondary dwelling unit is permitted as long as one wall is touching the main dwelling. And there are policies for conversions as well as interior units within the primary unit. The expanded policy could explore the potential of detached dwelling units, either within an accessory structure or as a standalone. So the review must include property size as well as septic capabilities and approvals, parking and lot coverage among the minimum setbacks. So this would be if somebody wanted to put, well, the next line says that, but the additional dwelling units could be that if you have a garage, you could have a loft in it. So it's to explore what does that look like on a property. It could be that you have a standalone additional dwelling that's meant for occupancy and built for occupancy. And then that could be in your backyard, as long as your well and your septic can hold the capacity of that, which opens up more dwelling, more units for people to move into, and it makes it more affordable for the person renting because it's a smaller space, as well as the homeowner who can now afford more on the property because they have the additional rental unit. So that is one option, like one thing that can be explored. Accessory storage structures are another that to be explored. So in 2024, the Building Code Act amended the maximum size for an accessory storage building from 108 square feet to 161 square feet that could be built without a building permit, provided its only purpose is for storage, and it's typically like a cold storage. So this means there's no plumbing or heating in the structure, and they are not constructed to fire safety standards or for human habitation. The existing zoning bylaw states an accessory building shall not be erected prior to the erection of a permitted dwelling on the same lot, except where it is necessary for the storage of tools and materials for the use in connection with the construction of such dwelling, and no accessory building shall be used prior to the erection of such dwelling for any purpose other than such storage. So this continues to be confusing for property owners who do use their structures for purposes other than the storage, and tighter rules are required. Many municipalities moved away from permitting accessory structures prior to the primary structure being a dwelling or a business. So the increase in the non-permitted size will further the non-compliance within the township, and a review of this policy should take place to protect the safety of residents, create a clearer understanding of the rules to maintain the character of the community and keep up with the best practices. Hunt camps, the zoning bylaw currently does not permit hunt camps. It is common knowledge that there are hunt camps within the rural areas, and it makes sense to create the appropriate policies within the planning framework to allow for them. There are examples of solid policies that can assist in this, including the minimum and maximum size, the setbacks, and the access to the hunt camps. And then the new, I would say our building official gets a lot of phone calls, certainly this year, for shipping containers. So these structures are becoming more popular, and staff are fielding questions regarding their ability to be used, how they are placed on the property, and the permitting rules. Within the new rules for larger storage structures, residents are choosing the smaller shipping containers. I think it's an 8x20 is under the size of the 161 square foot. So you could just purchase a small shipping container and then you don't need the permit because it's still for cold storage. A framework for the size and location will ensure rules are consistent and neighborhood characteristics can be upheld to standards set by council and the residents. So the recommendation is that council consider a housekeeping zoning bylaw with these 4 factors to address trends within the community. And a full comprehensive review will be conducted within 2 years, where there will be additional trends surfacing that need to be considered then as well. The process does include public engagement and a public meeting, so should council consider the recommendation, once the draft is prepared, that the public would have the opportunity to comment. And in the motion, I did say that if council entertains a housekeeping bylaw to clean up some of the policies and answer some of the questions we're getting from the community now, that the draft could be prepared by the Planning Advisory Committee, along with the chief building official and the planning administrator and the clerk.
Okay, any comment?
Just so on the, is there gonna be say a second dwelling on the property? Let's say you got 50 acres, you want a second dwelling on there. Is there a limit, square footage limit to that second dwelling?
So this is one of the things to explore. So there are policies right now in some municipalities where it can't be more than 50% of the current primary. So if you have, 1,000 square foot home, then you can't have one that would be more than 500. Our minimum size is still 807 square feet. I'm sorry, I can't convert to meters yet.
No, it's fine.
But then there's also, so if you are a young couple and you can only afford to build the 1,200 square foot home, and then you eventually can have more, you're restricted to that you can't build the secondary unit. So those are one of those things, because you maybe when you're older, you want a bigger house, you have a family now, but you don't want to move from the property. Well, can they build that larger home?
Yeah.
And then that 1,200 square foot would be the additional dwelling unit. It depends on property size, depends on the septic,
Sure.
depends on the well. So I think everything's a property by property, but you have to set those main policies.
And I guess my second question would be, yeah, like, I don't know, you'll be able to answer this, but like, so if the septic's not big enough, can the second dwelling have its own septic and share the well? That's kind of what we're shooting.
Right, those are North Bay Meadow
Yeah,
Conservation
okay.
Authority.
Fair
As
enough.
far as I know, it was like one civic address is one septic. And I don't know if the province has changed the rules, but that would definitely be something that will be
Yep.
included.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Nope, I look forward to to seeing the draft and engaging in the conversation with the public. I think those are interesting points that you made. I look forward to further conversation about the size of the secondary dwelling and what makes sense, because, we're stuck with the minimum size. Anyways, I won't get into it, but yeah, we're stuck with a minimum size of 800 and something square feet. So yeah, it's true. If somebody has a 1,200 square foot home, like they're instantly disqualified from having a secondary. That doesn't make sense to me. I think it would be
Yeah, no, I think it's
anyways, I think we'll find examples out there, and I'm sure we'll hear from public what would work for them, so.
The staff have had quite the internal debates over these policies.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting,
Right,
for
when
sure.
you see them, it's a lot of it's new concepts, it's a new trend. Like the province has just given us the permissions to do these types of policies and allow this type of development. And so it's kind of neat to watch how other municipalities are dealing with it, and then whether, we're judging them, but then we have to create our own policies now, so.
I also just really like the idea of, with an aging population, that a secondary dwelling on a primary piece of property might support elderly parents being able to live close but yet independent, and I think that's there's a need for
And
sure.
we get the question a lot as well, because it's parents who like their children don't want to live in the same house, but they can't afford to get their own house and they can't afford rent,
Right.
not in today's markets. So where can they go, right? So
Yeah.
having this opportunity, it
It's
just
great.
creates that multi-generational property.
Is this something forgivable loan by DSAB, is that something that would being allowed to make these secondary buildings, is that something that would encourage the people to, I know they have only so many forgivable loans out there, and apparently they've allocated them to the municipalities, but I see a secondary dwelling being able for somebody to take it and make it into a home for their son or daughter, and giving them someplace to live other than in the home with the parents. But I think it's a good idea.
We've met with DSAB on a couple occasions now to discuss the housing building, just housing in general, the policies, what can we do to make it better? They've done their housing study as well, and they're coming up with the second part of that very soon if it's not out already. So we're certainly having those discussions, and this year they did apply for funding that each municipality got one of those grants for the secondary dwelling units, but they are also doing RFPs for construction of larger housing opportunities as well. And they're certainly pushing with the government. So
It's also timely that I'm heading to the housing
Yes.
symposium with AMO, so probably learn a lot of
Yeah.
the province's direction in here. I also know that the CAO, the Director of Housing and the Manager of Housing for DSAP is going to the same symposium, so it'll
excellent.
give an opportunity to, I can bring back some information that I can gather there as well, so.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor McGinnis. The council receives this report and delegate a draft housekeeping zoning bylaw with these matters to the Planning Advisory Committee with the assistance of the planning administrator, clerk, and chief building official. All in favor? Carried. Oops. We don't have Dave online, No. So next we go to the Corporate Services Committee, September 19th. Do we have a report for that? No? Just for the. Oh, that's this. Right? Next is this.
right under the bylaws, yes. There was a motion for council that the committee supported.
We'll
council.
wait to the next one. All right. So we will adopt the corporate services minute. Whoop.
I think it's number 7 on the motion.
And the, pardon?
Number
think-
7.
On the first motion.
I don't do that yet. So Emergency Services Committee meeting, and that's where we were going to receive a report. Yeah. Unfortunately,
Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna ask a question. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
okay, you asked the question.
Oh, so I see a report in the package from the deputy fire chief.
Yeah, there is a report in there.
Yeah, and I remember having conversations, perhaps just want to confirm, did the information make it to the deputy chief that we'd actually like him to come to the meetings to present these
Yes,
to council? Okay,
yes, I believe there was discussions amongst council, because he had another presentation for today as well.
sure.
But definitely, and it's just a standing that after an emergency services committee meeting, then the minutes and that report are presented to council.
I hope the deputy chief is okay, because it's concerning that he's not here.
Yes, we'll reach
Hope
out.
everything's okay.
So would maybe Steve like to give the report?
Do you know what to do with paper?
Same one. I'm checking to see if it's the same one there. Okay, so this report from our deputy fire chief is from August 26th to September 16th. Fire department responded to 5 alarms, 4 medical responses, 1 motor vehicle accident, and they were called off on. They had a couple medicals. They have year to date, they've had a total of 49 alarms. And the volunteer staff sits at 22 members, 18 are operational, 2 are on leave of absence, 1 junior and 1 probationary. They had pump tests done for pumper 5 and for pumper 2. They both passed. 1 was close apparently, and 1 was fine. So some of our equipment, as we know, is getting older. Recent training, they did the chapter 15 overhaul, property conservation and scene preservation. And the lesson goal was that the firefighter shall be able to describe firefighters' roles during overhaul, salvage, and scene preservation. September 30th, they had 3 firefighters We're not there yet. 3 firefighters are receiving the OFC testing taking place at Nipissing Fire Department. And community involvement, they're kicking off Fire Prevention Week is October 6th. Firefighters will be doing door-to-door smoke alarm campaign as well as an open house on October 7th. Fire safety, home escape plans, and kitchen safety. So that's the report.
Thank you. We've all received this report.
Yep.
So, yeah. Okay. Planning Advisory Committee.
We have one coming up on October 16th. Hey, I remember. We have a meeting coming up on October 16th.
Okay. Next, we have Recreation Committee. Meeting September 9th. Oh, okay.
That was passed. So the only big thing that we have coming up for recreation is the Halloween parade. So currently we're collecting donations and sponsors and trying to get other people involved and putting in floats and decorating houses and things like that. So that's our recreation's big push currently is the Halloween parade.
Thank you. And we have a motion. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor McGinnis. Whereas the Recreation and Fitness Committee recommended to council to accept Cassandra Pug's resignation from the committee, be it hereby resolved that the council approves of this recommendation and that a letter be sent thanking her for her services and that advertising be placed on the website for members to sit on the committee. All in favor? Carried.
There's one motion before that. Your worship, there's one more motion just above that one.
The one for the circular material agreement. I know, I didn't want to pass it. I wanted to ask some questions
Oh,
first.
sorry.
I've read this thing over and I would like for you guys to talk about it so it becomes clearer, especially to me, especially when there's a corporation, a contractor and a manager and it seems quite involved but I guess there's a fairly easy explanation for it. Who would like to talk about it or where? This is to do with the
Recycle.
circular materials for the collection of blue box material at the Bonfield landfill site.
So essentially, Circular Materials is the company that the province has hired to do all the, not collections, so to speak, like house collections, but like depot agreements. They have they're taking over for recycling throughout the province. So essentially this contract and agreement that we have, there's like, we can't back out of it. There's no yes or no standpoint on it. It's kind of set in stone that we have to do it.
It's
So,
just a yes.
as for that, there's a small amount of kickback that we receive for our employees working there. But that being said, there's going to be other rules that we're going to have to enforce even harder than we already have with recycled materials and contamination and that sort of thing. Moving forward, as the Circular Materials has, I think the other day they said that Green for Life was awarded the contract, so they'll be doing the pickup, whereas currently we have Miller in-house doing the pickup. So there's small changes like that, but for the most part, like our landfill will operate the same. It'll still be our staff present during the time that it's open. Is there anything else? I'm probably missing a whole lot of other stuff.
I think
So
one of
our staff will still be involved in the recyclables, right?
Yeah,
Correct, yeah.
at the landfill.
At the
landfill in general,
landfill,
yeah.
and then the company will just come in and pick them up the same as the people have been picking up our recyclables?
Yeah, so instead of us paying a company to come and pick up and then getting a kickback from what's there, they essentially take over all that. So they do the disposal, the pickup, that sort of thing for all recyclables, not for garbage, just recycling materials.
So they provide all the bins and everything? The,
Yeah,
the
yes, they do.
company?
Yeah,
Yes.
And then we just proceed as we have been in the past, except they come and remove it and then they pay us, right?
correct, yeah, so we,
No, oops, sorry. They don't pay us. We don't, they don't pay us. They remove it. It's theirs. Everything's there is theirs because they're the recyclers now.
sorry, yeah, what else?
Producers.
They pay us for the staff, like the
Right.
staff time. They don't pay
Okay,
us for the
because I
material
did see in here, that there was payment, so,
Yeah, like I said, they pay for the staff time, they don't pay for the actual materials
okay.
like we currently. like
And
we-
we would still use the same amount of staff. And people would just come in the same as they normally would, bring their recyclables and then
Correct,
they
yeah,
come and remove it,
until,
right?
until we get a finalized plan from Circular Materials. To my knowledge, moving forward, everything's supposed to stay the same except for it's not us paying for the bins anymore or for the disposal. They take care of all that and give us a small kickback in exchange for our staff hours.
I think that from an end user, from a constituent standpoint, I think what they would see is maybe the bins are gonna go from brown to green. The color of the bin, because it'll be a different supplier, but other than that, it'll be just about recycling. There might be a bit more enforcement as the public works manager was saying of, hey, your glass goes in glass and your plastic goes in plastic, because that's gonna be even more important. To me, I just see this as the province is taking more control over the recycling throughout the province. I actually think it's the right thing to do if we're talking about from a environment standpoint. I think it is actually the right thing to do to bring consistency across all municipalities and how this is handled.
And I think from my understanding is kind of whatever system you have in place, they're gonna mimic what you have.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Circular Materials, we're working with the CIF,
Yes.
Community Improvement Fund there. And they're the ones that are actually spearheading on behalf of Circular Materials. But they're trying to work as best as they can to keep like current practices and layouts and all that stuff in place.
Because every landfill is set up
Yeah,
differently for recycling, like we're totally different than what Bonfield has.
Correct, yeah.
So, and they come in the same as the schedules we have now for the pickup, they would come in the same way. And then where would they take the recyclables?
So they haven't told us where they're taking it yet, but I believe it's North Bay is gonna be probably where they'll take most of the material. But what I was told when I asked is once it leaves our landfill, it's not our issue, so.
We don't care.
Circular Materials is, yeah.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are,
Okay, well, I feel like I know a little bit more now.
It's-
there is a lot of gray areas
It's,
still.
yeah, it's
with it.
not very clear.
No, and I mean, I probably sound like I'm running around in circles, but that's pretty much all the information they've given us.
But every municipality or township's in the same boat. It's nothing's really cut and dry on this. It's pretty murky water still.
Is that when all of the municipalities are going to start, are we all starting this at the same time? And,
In this area.
In this area, we are, yeah.
yeah.
But other municipalities and townships have done it further south
Mhm.
and east, but I think we're one of the last municipality areas to transfer over.
So one more question. Do you think this will cost less for our landfill site?
It's hard to say. It hasn't started yet. I mean, maybe Nikki can touch on that, but
There should be no
I think
cost
there's
Yeah.
really no cost because we're getting a kickback for the staffing.
because they're trying to.
But it's not 100%.
No, but it's
So the
partial.
staff cost back, like the staffing costs that we currently incur, we will get some of that back. It's not 100% funded. But I think,
Like the
I
bin
don't want to
rental.
say, but I'm thinking it's around 80. but I don't hold me to that.
Yeah.
To a maximum.
Because they still don't have all that figured out. So every depot in Ontario has the same agreement. I think the quick win for Bondfield was the non-eligible portions,
Yeah.
materials to be recycled. And I don't want to overcomplicate this because it's just that is complicated, but there are certain like commercial circular material doesn't cover that recycling. So for us, that's the portion where they'll take that out. So there'll still be some of that cost in there because we're still responsible for those non-eligible pieces. And we have to put that in. So there's a piece of the staff, a piece of the non-eligible. But the non-eligible in Bondfield is only like 3%. So that was a really good, I know when there was discussions and information sharing in that, you know, we really nailed down that that's what it was. So that's kudos to the staff that did that. That's our quick win, so that those costs will be much less.
They're putting the cost back on the manufacturers for the packaging, for the recycling.
That makes sense.
It's, yeah, schools, businesses, beaches that are not covered, you know, and yeah,
So,
so.
yeah, so essentially like a private business will have to get their own garbage bin. They can't.
What does it cost us per bin now and to have the bins removed? Do we,
Depends on the weight,
pardon?
like the weight of the bins, right?
Oh, okay, but we pay to rent the bins, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like currently we pay to rent the bins, we put all of our recycling in, they come, they pick it up, they weigh it, and then we get a kickback for the recycling, and it mostly covers the bins.
For the most part, yeah.
And we're paying
Yeah.
for staff. And eventually they're gonna help out paying for staff. We don't rent the bins anymore, but we also don't get a kickback for the contents of the bins anymore.
Okay. Now I can read it. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Featherstone, whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended to council to enter into a circular material agreement, be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, we have, the Police Services Board. We have a meeting coming up in October, right? I think I received something in the email. There is going to be a Police Services Board meeting then. No items for discussion. Resolutions to be considered for adoption. I read it too fast, right? The adoption. Okay, I have the
This is
bylaw here.
Bylaw.
Yeah. Okay. Corporation of the Township of Bonnfield, bylaw 2024-56, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Circular Materials for the collection of blue box materials at the Bonnfield landfill site. Whereas Circular Materials is a federal not-for-profit corporation operating as Circular Materials Ontario CMO, and whereas CMO has issued an offer to the contractor in connection with the collection of blue box materials at depots commencing April 1st, 2025, and whereas the Council of the Township of Bonnfield accepts the Province of Ontario's producer responsibility, waste diversion and management programs. Now therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Bonnfield hereby enacts as follows: that the attached agreement with Circular Materials for the collection of blue box material at the Bonnfield landfill site is hereby accepted and attached to Schedule A to this bylaw, and that the mayor and clerk be hereby authorized to execute this agreement, and that this bylaw shall come into force and take effect upon the passing thereof. Read it first, second, and third time, finally passed this 24th day of September 2024. All in favor? Carried. I think I passed the bylaw too quick. Where is this here? I thought I said. Right here. I got it here again.
Should be 9A
Hmm?
in your motions,
Should be 9A.
9A.
9A. Oh, okay. The other one was corporate services, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to read this backwards. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Corbett, that council for the township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2024-56, being a bylaw to execute an agreement with Circular Materials for the collection of blue box material at the Bonfield landfill site as presented and is considered read 3 times and passed this 24th day of September 2024. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, we have motions of support for our correspondence last meeting. This one is the Township of Russell. AMCTO provincial updates to the municipal election app. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor McGuinness, that the council for the Township of Bonfield hereby supports the Association of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario calls for the province to update the Municipal Elections Act with priority amendments as outlined by AMCTO before the summer 2025 and commence work to review and rewrite the MEA with longer term recommendations ahead of the 2030 elections. Further, that this resolution will be forwarded to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister of Education, the Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery, Minister of Finance, the Premier of Ontario, MPP of District of Nipissing, and AMCTO. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the City of Brantford. It's another motion of support. Legislative amendments to improve municipal codes of conduct and enforcement letter. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Corbett, that the council for the Township of Bonfield supports the City of Brantford for its call to the Government of Ontario to introduce legislation to strengthen municipal codes of conduct and compliance with them in consultation with municipal governments. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the September 9th library minutes. Donna's not here to report. North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority minutes.
It's a big package, but there was nothing noteworthy.
Okay.
Out of the 743 pages that they sent us?
There's nothing
Kinda-
noteworthy. Can they not give an executive summary
Pretty
instead of?
businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
They're
just,
still looking at separating the ski hill and things like that. So a lot of it is just.
Well, and then the next one is Township of Brudenell, Lyndoch and Raglan, sustainable funding for OPP small rural municipalities. Support.
yes, please.
Next is the City of Kitchener supporting the City of Toronto rent evictions. That's to do with the evictions of people and the reason being they want to renovate, right?
Yeah.
So we don't support
I
this.
think so.
Nothing for the question period. No
No
closed
question.
section. Am I skipping through it? Okay, next we have the confirmatory bylaw. Moved by Councillor.
Sorry. Go back a little bit and pass the motion to accept the correspondence, please. Item 10.
Sorry, I got too fast to go through here. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor McGinnis, the council receives the correspondence circulated with the agenda of September 24th, 2024. And they're both with for support.
Yes, I'll bring those back
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
And next we have, not yet.
I was voting in favor.
There's
Of course,
two more. Moved by Councillor Corbett and second by Councillor McGinnis, that the council for the township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2024-57 to confirm the proceedings of council from September 10th, 2024 to September 24, 2024, as presented and as considered read 3 times and passed this 24th day of September 2024. All in favor, carried. And next we have, what time is it?
7:55.
Wow. Moved by Councillor McGinnis, second by Councillor Featherstone, that this meeting be adjourned at 7:55 PM. All in favor, carried. There. Very good. Oh. Meeting's adjourned. Good night, everybody.